Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm exclusively using the cryo. I actually love using red light therapy. And I mean, for some patients, I actually will combine them. We'll do like a hot and cold and allow them to kind of cook up a little bit with the red light for about 10, 15 minutes. And then just do like a full paint job with the cryo, always ending with cold. I mean, I feel like historically that's the best way to do it. So I'm a moderate. I like using both.
To the Skin Deep podcast, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in again this week. This week, I have an amazing guest today, and his name is Dr. Jason Granzotto, and he's from the Tri Health Wellness Center. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I was just kind of explaining before, one of your naturopaths came on to the show a few weeks ago, and I somehow discovered your clinic, and I'm really, really excited to talk about the different, technologies that you have and what you offer people because, my history is a medical esthetician and educator for about 15 to 20 years, and I kind of was biohacking, and I want to talk to you about this so much. I was doing a lot of these things before I became a medical esthetician. I was doing the red light. I had like hot saunas and cold plunging, and I was doing this for so long, and it seemed weird to everybody else. They were like, "You're just really crazy. You just like to be athletic." And don't get me wrong, I did. But when I got more and more into educating and going to different medical clinics and different kinds of shows, I got to learn a little bit more about the technology. But something, I don't know what it was, something hit me in the head about, it was Cairo that was the first one, and then it was more like RF technology that brought me more deeper into it. And I'm just so
Yeah.
excited that your clinic offers these different technologies. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, how you got in the industry, and what brought you to kind of getting into these different technologies.
Well, I guess being a naturopath, you get exposed to a lot of what's considered alternative therapies, whether it's like herbal or supplements or just stuff that our grandmas taught us. But then natural medicine is like it's evolving just like everything else is, and bringing in science, even if it's sometimes considered pseudoscience because it hasn't been vetted by all the PubMed studies. However, surprisingly, a lot of these biohacking technologies, they've been around for a long time, have tons of research behind them, and it's funny you mentioned like being athletic and into sports. A lot of athletics, the technologies that are developed there, they evolve and move over to the natural side for beauty and for healing and for skin, because that's what it's doing. It's healing, and if athletes need to heal, I mean, we want to heal the whole body as well. So, I mean, go ahead.
It's funny how, like, yeah, athletics, athletes, they had this whole technology, in their back pocket. They've been doing this for such a long time. It's just never really became, open public knowledge for so long. So it's very true. They've always kind of knew it, and we just never did.
Yeah, I think the social media has helped expose the layperson to a lot of what's out there, and it's you can't rely on practitioners alone to discover new things. And I do pay attention to what my patients say. A lot of times, I'm like, "Have you heard about this technology? Have you used this sort of thing with people before?" And half the time they're kind of like, I don't know. But then other times you're like, hey, you know what? I have been hearing a lot about that. I know some people in Germany are using that. And I think being open-minded to what's being practiced around the world and not limiting it's like, well, it's not in North America, so maybe it's not legit. If you open up your horizons, you can be like, well, there's some stuff that we're 20 years behind.
Yeah. And that's exactly true because even when I was studying in the beginning, you would open your textbook and you would hear about Switzerland, they're doing this and they're doing all of these things. And you're like, oh, wow, that's so amazing. But you don't think of it being realistic to, Ontario because we don't have,
Hmm.
all of these hot springs and all these other types of things that other, countries have, right? So it is very true that you don't really think that we would have those technologies here, but you'd hear like from you're saying from different patients, different people, hey, you heard of this or did you hear of that? And sometimes I would be like, no, I never heard of that. Or it's like I would Google it and I'm like, oh my God, okay, now I understand what they're talking about. Some things I was a little step ahead, but some things I didn't really know too much about. And as the industry evolved and social media became a little bit more common, I do find a lot of things kind of brought them out a little bit to the limelight. And the
Hmm.
one thing that I want to definitely look into is that I noticed on your layers of different things that you guys offer was the thermology. I'm curious about that because I've only heard about this maybe 3 to 4 times within the last
Sure.
like 2 years. So I'm really, really curious to know how that works and how do you guys incorporate that into your services?
Well, thermography is interesting because it sort of evolved with a need to find an alternative to mammograms and breast health. And so we're obviously not saying that it's a replacement, but it's a great way to track changes in your inflammatory processes in the body. So when we have thermography, what we're doing is we're identifying areas of increased or reduced circulation. So they literally show up as hot spots or cold spots. And inflammation obviously would be more red, and cold areas or areas of lacking circulation will be dark. And we can track changes over time, which is important because some people are hesitant about doing X-rays or radiation from like mammograms, and if they don't have like a high, necessity for frequent mammograms, but they have cystic breasts, they want to be able to track changes over time. The thermography allows us to do that. Now, thermography has been applied to also injuries and inflammation and like areas of the body that are not healing in terms of tissue and skin. So one of the goals is to increase perfusion in those areas. So then we use our other modalities for that.
That's actually really interesting because I did notice it for like the inflammation part. That's where I felt really intrigued by it because if you can find those pockets of inflammation. So, for instance, how do you find that would apply to like certain skin issues that people might have, such as if they have just overall high inflammation in the body and they have a lot of hives or irritations? Like, does that pick that up the same way?
Yeah, it can. I mean, more specific areas like chronic psoriasis or even rosacea, you could see it on the surface, but from a naturopathic perspective, if we're detecting inflammatory processes in certain organs, whether it be located near the liver or over the spleen or the intestine, a lot of that is where we would say these conditions are originating. So skin issues for us is a external expression of an internal problem.
Yes, true. Okay, so then
Yeah.
I just thought of this really quickly. So how could it pick up things for like again when you're talking about the naturopathic way too, for IBS or SIBO if they have that inflammation in the gut area as well too?
The thermography will not be as specific to say yes or no that there is IBS or SIBO. A very good a thermographer can identify and see patterns, which this is where some people in the Western medicine paradigm, they're like, this sounds hokey. How can you thermographically see someone's got IBS?
Yeah.
But you can. You start to see patterns. And similarly with live blood analysis, I mean, we start seeing enough blood samples. You can tell someone who's a chronic worrier. You can tell someone that's got like a lot of heartburn or reflux, and maybe that's explaining part of their rosacea in the first place.
It's so true. I think the rosacea industry or that area is it's still such a questionable area. Everyone's still trying to figure out how to diagnose and find ways to treat it. And I'm always like just calming and soothing, and let's find a deeper
Hmm.
cause to it, because I find it's always coming up to the surface, on the
Hmm.
skin. So I find a lot of people think, no, just put things on the face and it will fix it. And I'm like, no, there's always a deeper cause when it comes to rosacea, and a lot of people don't want to go too deep, and it's about going deep. I never, even for my own company Everbella, and we treat eczema, I never want people to think that it's just, oh, put the cream on, everything is great. It's all about the skin deep. There's something always underlining that makes it have that trigger. Yes, external products always make a difference too, but a lot of it's internal. It's always internal, and then you gotta allow it to come outside, and then you get to see what's really the that was the trigger, what was the cause. So
Yeah, when we jump into things like that, we can become a little bit controversial because there's some things that we will say are triggers that are not popular, whether it's certain food products, whether it's the introduction of other external environmental exposures. I don't know how much you want to go into those things, but I mean, it definitely is deeper than the skin.
yes, yes. I call it like the trifecta. I find it is internal, so there's a lot of things that are happening internally, whether it's that food. I find there's externally, so it's a lot of things that are happening around them or on the skin, like you're putting it on the skin. And the other part I call it is the emotional, because a lot of times your emotions can trigger it too. So I kind of figured out it's like that trifecta kind of way of looking at it, because it's not one stop fixes all. It's like a whole symmetry of all of them. It's just, again, a lot of, we've been always taught to know that it's like, oh, just put it, cortisone cream on it and everything is fine.
Mhm.
Let's not worry about the other stuff. But we know now there's so many other things that affect our body in so many different ways that, a lot of people just don't want to look at it. But I want to encourage people so much that you have to look at all the other elements, because it does make a difference. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So now this is the best one. This is actually the one I noticed on your summary again of different opinions. I had a very specific opinion about cryotherapy. I honestly, it's really funny, because in the beginning of my career, it was like all about heat therapy all the time, in terms of like losing weight, fixing your skin, and doing all of that, until when like cool sculpting came on the scene.
Mhm.
And then cool sculpting completely changed everything. And then now cryotherapy came out, and that's also a new thing in terms of cold plunges, cold showers, and
Sure.
so forth. I'm kind of curious, what is your opinion about the cold plunges, cold showers in junction with cryotherapy?
I guess I have always like a moderate approach to things, and I try not to be extreme. I'm not a cold plunge guy, but I am a hot and cold exposure. Like I think it's good to have a mix. I mean, I picture myself as like, can I jump into 4-degree water? Would I want to? And what am I fixing if I'm doing that? Now, I know people who swear by it. They feel invigorated and it help their joints, and maybe their physiology suits that. But I mean, for my general population of my practice, my patients, I'm putting them in heat more often than cold. However, the cryotherapy, it kind of gives me targeted cold, which is great because sometimes I just want a little spot to really be hyper focused. So whether it's 100 and negative 162 Celsius, this chilled air that's chilled by like liquid nitrogen into targeted areas, whether it is for a fat breakdown, whether it's for toning skin, and whether it's for reducing inflammation in the tissues and muscles or joints, or at the level of the surface of the skin. I like having the control to limit to certain areas, so I don't have to put someone in a meat locker to get the same results. Where I can just be a lot more targeted.
It's really true, because I loved heat for so long. Like I love hot saunas, infrared saunas. Like I love it. It's just, it's my favorite thing. And then when I started learning a little bit more about cryotherapy, it was very much like going against my moral code. I was like, I am not
I
getting
feel
in
that.
that
Yes.
cold water. I was like, that is messed up. Who wants to do this to themselves and so forth? And then, I started testing it out. I think it was before COVID happened. I started testing it out in junction with like keto and so forth. So when I was
Mhm.
doing it, I seen massive differences in my skin and my body. And then I was trimming weight that I never could have trimmed before. Again, I still was doing the bad keto. Let me, correct that. I was doing the bad keto here and there until I started learning how to do the right keto way, or even like fasting with it. But
Okay.
like when I started really understanding how to do Cryo, I couldn't really do the full plunge. I started just doing like the cold showers at the end.
I think that's suitable.
Me? That's what you do too?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, when I'm courageous enough.
Yeah. It's weird though because I could do it in the winter time, but I can't do it in the summer. I don't know why. It's something weird taking cold showers in the summer. I'm like, no, I don't have the bravery. When it's
Yeah.
like winter, I don't know why I can actually add it into my shower much easier than the summertime. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's a psychological thing.
I believe there's something to it. Our bodies adjust to the climate, and sometimes we'll get like a little like run down in the fall, or when the winter's about to approach. And I think it's our body prepping us for the change that we're exposed to. So maybe we are hardier. Maybe we got a little bit more brown fat moving around in our system. Who knows?
It's so true. I was laughing because when I would do it, I'm like, I feel vibrant. I feel amazing getting out of the shower. And the summertime, I'm like, hell no, no one has time for that. Like, no, I would rather go jump in a pool or go to Tobomori and jump in that versus like actually turning on the cold water in the summertime. So I think you're right. I think it just, our body is so different and climatizing to the winter that that's where it's easier for us to do the cryotherapy at that time. So I think you're right on that. So
And you just go outside at any time of year now. It's cryotherapy.
yeah, yeah, it's so true. Like um. I like the winter weather. I actually find I walk a little bit more in the winter than I do. Um, it's okay, So the other day when it was really freezing, I was like, okay, you can handle this. I think I have like a much more what do they call it, winter skin, or Canadian armor or something like that.
Good for you. I lost mine a long time ago.
No, no, I still working on it. I'm still trying to get it going. So my question then is, in terms of like, because I know I'm assuming you guys are treating that ideally for weight loss, or you're treating it for as well the therapy in terms of like muscle soreness or any kind of aching.
I like cryo for all of it, and I mean, it's more so for injury. And some people are coming in, they're like, hey, I hear it's great for fat loss, targeting certain areas like love handles. But the most utility I get out of my cryo machine is for like stubborn joint pain, inflamed areas, acute injuries. So I like taking advantage of those benefits there. And there's got to be consistency for the weight loss component of it. And to be honest, with the weight loss, it's very much diet and exercise at the end of the day.
Yeah. Now, what is the major comparison to the radio frequency, like the other technologies? Because I find, like I said, I was a little bit against, cool sculpting or cryotherapy in terms of weight loss. Because to me, when I'm looking at the body's way of synthesizing it and breaking it down through the body, I usually would more so gravitate towards heat therapy versus cold. So tell me why you found like it was better for you to choose the cryotherapy.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm exclusively using the cryo. I actually love using red light therapy. And I mean, for some patients, I actually will combine them. We'll do like a hot and cold and allow them to kind of cook up a little bit with the red light for about 10-15 minutes. And then just do like a full paint job with the cryo, always ending with cold. And I feel like historically that's the best way to do it. So I'm a moderate. I like using both.
No, that's really good. It's kind of true. Like when you think of how the way the body will process it. It actually is a great way of doing the heat, heating up the body, getting the body moving and so forth. Because that's what I would do at the gym, for instance. I would just like get my
Yeah.
body going and going, and then bang, I would just like get straight to a cold shower, and then I just feel like I feel more revitalized and like more stimulated. So I think it's a great way that you're doing those two therapies together, mixing it and applying them those ways.
Yeah, people like them. They feel good. They do feel invigorated. I mean, even like how we consume food, we tend to go hot to cold anyways. It seems like just like a natural progression. So we take advantage of it. We try to maximize it.
Hmm. Now, do you find a lot of people will do those two treatments together, or do they kind of gravitate one to the other?
The red light is easiest because it's very passive and comfortable and warm. And out of any therapy, any biohacking that we offer here, the red light has the best compliance, the best feedback, the best reviews of anything. On its own, I'm content to use that. If there's certain areas like you got a lot of inflammation too, that sure the red light might have some indications, but the cryo is actually going to kind of round out the session. Then we'll include that. But to be quite honest, 9 times out of 10, people just put me in the front of the red light for as long as you let me.
I didn't want to get to the red light yet because that honestly is one of my favorites. And don't get me wrong, I have one in my house here. And it's like it's the industry fave now. Like everyone is buzzing over red light therapy everywhere, and it's interesting because when I was doing those treatments, especially educating students, they're like, whatever, like no one really cares about red light. I'm like, you just don't know yet because you don't know yet.
Yeah.
When they understand, nanometers, the depth and the differences, I feel like that's when people really understand red light therapy and what it does to the body. So, do you have like a whole bunch of people come in and can you explain it a little bit? I think some people really need to understand what red light therapy does.
Well, I think it actually is a great gateway to understanding and utilizing more wavelength type technology coming, the next 5 to 10 years. A lot of people they'll be like, well, why can't I just stand outside and just get, good sunshine? I need some vitamin D, and nothing wrong with that, but you're getting a mix of maybe there's cloud, maybe you don't have, great exposure depending on where you are in the world. But when we can isolate the red wavelength and the near infrared, these are the wavelengths of the color spectrum that is going to help most in clinically shown to improve circulation, skin healing, injury repair, collagen formation, cellular energy production, metabolic function, thyroid. The list goes on because the research is there. And that's what's the rewarding thing is that you can see benefits in the short term and the long term. And I think having red light becoming much more popular now to the point where people are buying them for their own homes, I think is actually like a foot in that whole new world of radio frequency light therapy, wavelength therapy, which it's been kind of under the surface for a long time. And I actually was first exposed to light therapy maybe like 15 years ago using what's called a biopterin light. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's almost like polarized light, but of different lenses of color. And each one has their own purpose. So I like using, I think sometimes blue light was used for like more psoriasis, and the red was more for like wound healing or acute acne. And then there's like yellow and green and red, and there's all kinds of other indications that you can dive into. And sometimes you're getting into some of the hokey stuff, sure, but that's just because the science hasn't caught up yet.
Well, of sound therapy, red light therapy, or light therapy. Those have been two things that I've been obsessed with for, I would say over a decade. And it's just because I've been exposed to different things at shows and so forth, and I just caught on to it and just like ate it up. And even when you're talking about laser for hair removal, that's when I was like, wait, hold on. And I started really understanding nanometers and what it did and the different depths and really understanding the different treatments with light and also laser. And, some people didn't really understand it. I'm like, do you not understand what IPL could really do for you? And again, not everyone could get treated by IPL, but I was like, if you understand just those little mechanics of what IPL can do for you, then when you start thinking about what red light therapy does for you, then you kind of really go a little bit more spread out and understand things. So, I'm obsessed with the light therapy in general. I just wonder now, because it's so easy to pick them up, do you find that all are equal in terms of quality and efficiency?
No, that's for everything. The supplements, technologies, I don't know, and name it.
Yeah,
Read
I find
reviews.
yes, everyone's like, "Oh, I just picked this up. It was like $25." I'm like, "It's not the same." Okay, Ferrari, bicycle, Ferrari. They're so different. There's such a difference in quality, and it's like I feel so bad when I see people that are just picking them up from any and everywhere online, and I'm just like, it's not the same. You have to get better quality, and if you really want it or best quality, you've got to go to the clinics. You spend the money and
Yeah.
get in the clinics. You don't need to buy these hokey pokey ones that you can get online and think that they're really doing anything. You might as well just paint a regular light bulb, okay? Just paint it red and turn it on, and then that's the quality that you're getting because it's not the same.
It's not, and sometimes even if you get a good quality one, but it's like maybe like a desk size one, the benefits are limited. It's something. It's okay, but sometimes you want something that's like a clinic level. Like I want to feel the red light going through my body, and it just gives you the sense like this is therapeutic. When we have a red light on downstairs, the entire first floor is red. I say we get secondhand red light.
I can't wait to come to your clinic. I'm not lying to you. Like
Beautiful.
I'm like so excited. I'm just like I need to try almost every single thing. Like this is so exciting because it's just like I said. There's not a lot of clinics that offer it, and the ones that do just have like the one that goes over your face, and it's not the same. The clinic that I work at, we have the Lutronic, so I have that motherboard open, and I'll try my best. But I'm like, I need to get like half of my body parts in, and I can't. So I'm excited that you guys have like a massive one. Like, is it a full body light? It's
Yeah, it's four large panels, so it's about 6.5 feet tall and about 2 feet wide. So it's good coverage. Yeah, a room we can put a few people in that room and let them bake for a little bit, and they'll feel like they were on the beach for the day.
I like that. That's amazing. So my other question is like the difference between because I get this quite a bit and I'm quite sure you can offer better insight on this as well. The difference between this and infrared in terms of saunas, like infrared saunas versus like red light therapy or red light therapy saunas because I know there's a whole bunch coming out and there's so many differences and I would love for your professional insights so people know the difference.
So infrared saunas are wonderful, and what they're looking at is not relying on just pure heat, but this infrared wavelength to penetrate the skin to almost like kind of like cook us a little bit. So we get that implied heat that's going to stimulate a metabolic change, start sweating, start opening up some channels, moving fluid around, heat shock proteins. All these great things are going to help prevent disease and improve our immune system and circulation and our ability to detoxify. So infrared is that's usually related to the saunas. Near infrared and red light therapy, they tend to be grouped into more of the light therapy endorphins that we were just referring to. A little bit more surface level, but it does penetrate our tissues as well. So a lot of times when people do near infrared or red light therapy, they feel like they had some of the benefits of being in a sauna because they feel warm and cozy, but not sweaty, not overheated. and a little bit more skin level therapeutic effect.
Yeah, you're explaining that because it's, a lot of people don't really know the difference. And even for myself, I knew very basics between the two. I knew there were some similarities. I found that, the infrared or the near infrared, like you were mentioning, I just noticed it was like it was missing that heat component to it more than anything. But it's more like a dry, but you're still getting the benefits of everything that you mentioned there. So I guess that's that difference. So the comparison to that though of just a regular hot sauna, I'm assuming
Yes.
again you're not getting the light, benefits, but you're still getting those same benefits of just being in a regular sauna itself, but it's heat.
Yes, it's a little bit more specific to the heat and the higher temperatures. So you're going to get a similar detox effect, but the temperature can be a lot higher, like the more 180, 160. But whereas like 130 or 140 is a little bit more comfortable for the average person. You don't want to be going in a sauna and fainting or feel like they got to peel you off the ground. If you can have a little bit more of a tolerance and still get a deeper level of effect, I mean, that's sort of what we want to do. That's where science is coming in and saying like, hey, there's a better way of doing it, a little bit more efficient, a little bit more like conserving your internal resources so you don't feel so drained after a sauna.
Hmm. So, for example, people that, because we meet a lot of people, I meet a lot of people every day when it comes to, their overall skin concerns and their issues and so forth. Would you suggest that they do light therapy on like a weekly basis, monthly? Like, how would you assist them in knowing how to help them with that light therapy?
I think red light therapy is something you can do as often as possible. I would say usually if someone wants to get started on some kind of therapy, I would say come in 3 times a week, even if it's just 15 minutes for a session. We'll make it work. We'll make it make sense to your schedule. And what people will notice is that after the first week, you get comments, you get compliments, or people are just questioning like, you look different. Something's different about you, and the effects happen quickly, and they have a cumulative effect. So you want to be a little bit more consistent with it. And then even if it's just a maintenance of like once a week after a few weeks of sessions, what you'll notice is that you're going to have continued benefit, not just to areas of concern, but for your entire, your skin health overall.
It's very true. Like, I didn't have my own light therapy at home for a while, but I was doing at the gym. They had just the regular saunas, and I just felt my skin just felt better and better and better every time I would use it. I feel like it helps just overall the sebaceous gland, just the oil regulation as well. Even though,
Mhm.
yeah, you're sweating quite a bit, but I felt like in conjunction my oil glands were just really, really consistently making me feel coated because I feel like when people have eczema or a lot of dry skin issues or just anti-aging, they're just like, I don't get oily, I don't get this. And I'm like, you need to regulate it,
Mhm.
you need to get that oil moving. And I feel like the best way to kind of have that, stimulated was through saunas, working out of course, but saunas and the light therapy I found kind of helped me boost with that too.
Amazing. I mean, I like looking at diet as well because we got to make sure that we got a balance. And most people, whether you're following some fat diet or you're just kind of throwing your diet out the window, that's one critical area where you're going to start seeing changes, whether it's identifying sensitivities or just having a more balanced your diet.
Hmm. Yeah, diet is a major thing that's happening right now worldwide. I find there's like a food crisis going out there, and I love listening to some of the podcasts that you had on with some of the nutritionists as well, and them talking about food because I realized, especially within the last 2 months, I got rid of a lot of food that I was eating. And it's not to say I was eating bad, it was just that there's just the little tiny things that just throw the whole thing off board. And, I was looking at some of the advice that they were giving, which was like reading the labels properly and looking at it. And I kid you not, there was the other day when my family members came home and they had juice, and I was reading it and it said pomegranate apple juice or something. When I read the label on the back of that, there was like hardly anything apple or pomegranate. It was like
Yeah.
all these other things in there, and I was like, this is like such mislabeling and misleading people. And it's very true. Like food is a major issue right now we have around the world.
I think we got to go back to making sure that you know what your food is made of and think, can I make this myself? Can I do this at home? And if I can't do this at home, why am I trusting someone else to make it for me?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of things on my own. Like first of all, I love treats. Like I can't help. I have a sweet tooth. That's just something that's within me. I now start making my own food at home, like my own kind of treats, like the banana muffins and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and making it as simple as possible because I can't trust anything else. There's too much sucrose, glucose, dextrose, every single scrose out there that I'm just like I can't. This is so bad. This is really really bad for you. So it's true. We have to learn how to make it ourselves.
Yeah, and an area that I'm focusing with my patients is the concept of dysglycemia or poor sugar regulation. And we get misled thinking like, well, I don't have diabetes and I don't have an issue with sugar. And inevitably, if you crave anything, if it's like, I just have to have a little something, you've got a blood sugar issue. So there's a few things that I really, strongly encourage. And I'm not saying that you got to be extreme and zero carb, this or that, but you got to understand how your body's, your physiology and what your body can handle, and you got to work within those means.
Because the foods have been I almost feel like people are slave to food in some ways nowadays because of just so many things that are additives in there that are making people addicted to certain foods. And
Hmm.
I feel like it's true when you're craving things so much, you have to really understand why you're craving it, and then really get it checked out. I had to check out my blood stats for a while because I just didn't understand why. One, there was a lot of cramping that I would get around menstrual cycle, but then two, there was just like high sugar spikes and low iron and the anemic part. And I guess again, we know that most of the time, African Americans do suffer from being anemic. It's just that there's those things that I'm like, I need to really understand a little bit more. And I actually ended up figuring out that I gave myself histamine intolerance for a while because I was like, I want to eat a lot of probiotics. Yeah, kimchi. I was
Oh,
eating so much kimchi that threw my histamine off that I had to start working backwards and going down to the most basic kind of meal plan for myself just to kind of get rid of the histamine issues that I was having. And then when I looked at that, there was just so many things that I was like, I really have this issue with like needing a chocolate, needing a sugar, needing that. And I had to find other alternatives that satisfied it without me feeling like I was depriving myself. But it's really critical that people get to understand those things and seek a professional like your clinic to understand those things so that they can get on the right path for fixing their skin or the weight loss and just overall longevity.
yeah, we definitely take gut health as a first step to figuring out, any type of chronic condition or even something that's relatively acute as well. And many people will say like, I had some kimchi or I had some kind of prebiotic or I had a yogurt or something that is typically considered a health food, but it just had such a negative response. And there's always something underlying with their gut health that had to be identified. And whatever that food item was, it just kind of shifted things. So, uh, bringing it down to like an anti-inflammatory diet, identifying sensitivities, some gut repair, and enhancing upper digestion. It's one area that I'm very strongly focused on. I feel like most people don't digest protein. They don't digest their food at all. So, as opposed to working downstream, I focus upstream to get like the long-term and residual effects. So, yeah, there's a lot to gut health, skin health, immunity, hormones. It's a very, integrated web.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's a lot to do with that, and I think that's where I don't even like to call it alternative health methods. I feel like it should be the fundamental health methods, because I feel like now people are really shifting their view of where they should get their health, treated, or where they should be going to get advice and understanding how to really approach their health. Because the traditional way that we're used to, it's not, it's not solving, it's not really getting people down to the basics. It's almost just masking it. And this is a constant conversation I keep having with a lot of different people, is that I just don't understand what to do. I don't know what to do. My doctor just gave me this and it's just not going anywhere. And I'm just keep filtering people. I'm like, you got to go see a naturopath. You need to see alternative health stores, or resources or professionals, because they're going to the deeper cause. They're going to the root versus just giving someone something just to calm the symptom. Yes, people want immediate, relief, but it's not the way to fix it. It's just to give you immediate relief, but you really need to go down to the deeper part of it so that they can get rid of that, eradicate, the issue itself.
Yeah, we're as a society extremely spoiled, and we want immediate results and minimal change on our end. So, uh, as you can imagine, the solutions that we seek when we're in a desperate state, they're greatly impacted on like what we're willing to do for ourselves. Are you willing to make a big change? Are you willing to kind of go down to foundation and be like, hey, you know what? I have to give up this cookie addiction. I have to give up this Starbucks addiction. I have to give up some of these things that are like, I know it's poison, but I can't help it. How many times people tell me I'm Italian, what do you expect from me? I'm like, that's not an answer.
Love that you said that, because it literally hit me like right in the heart, because I am like that. I was like an Oreo cookie. Like, ate everything great, but I had to have that Oreo cookie. Or it's like I had to have like ice cream, like something. There was always something that I would say, actually, no, really, what it really was back in the day, it was cotton candy. Like, I can tell people a story
Oh,
where I
wow.
went to, yeah, and it's the worst one out of it. Like, I would go to a theme park, just buy cotton candy and leave. Like, I didn't care about anything else. I just literally would just go there to buy cotton candy and leave. And then there was a day where I ate a couple of bags of them, and my skin just exploded. And I was like, you
Yeah.
already knew. Like, you knew. Like, stop it. Don't act like you didn't know. You know.
You have to hit bottom sometime.
It's like I'm surprised I wasn't in the hospital. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad, but that was like the learning lesson for me. And again, it's still kind of creeped in here and there, but it was one of those things that I had to ask myself, like, is it health or is it death? Like, which one are you going to have, sweetheart? Like, you can't have them both. And eventually I just gave it up, and I just said, no, I can't do this anymore. Like, my skin and my health and my, even your mental health just like literally goes out the door when your skin or your body just feels, impaired. So I know what you mean when you're saying, like, some people, we are spoiled, we can't help it. But I'd be like, I really want that Starbucks, I want that cookie, I want that cotton candy, but I think I'm gonna be like sucking back all these, supplements and all these other things for a while if I, keep going down this road. And eventually we have to really take that hard pill and just say, you can't do it anymore. Like, you can't. Like, your body just won't let you do it anymore. And that's what people are having, very, very bad skin nowadays, especially, the eczema, the dermatitis, and all of those
Mhm.
other skin conditions. So, yeah, really
Yeah, I
right in my face.
I had no prior knowledge of that. No one gave me the insight. It just kind of spoke off the cuff. But, in the meantime, yeah.
Literally dangled, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm like,
Well,
triple.
no, I'm sorry. I'll expose mine. I had a double double, two cream, two sugar addiction for a long time. I don't even know how it started. I never even drank coffee. And then I think I had a long day at work and I hadn't had lunch, and someone brought me that, and that was just liquid gold. And then I found I was going back for one or two a day, and I'm like, this is garbage. What am I doing? So it is something you got to have a lot of willpower to eliminate. And even when I do try to get people off sugar, keep this in your mind: inositol or myo-inositol, which is actually a type of carbohydrate that your liver will utilize and enhance how it breaks down your, sugar in your bloodstream, and it will reduce what you end up craving in a day. So when someone's trying to come off a sugar addiction, inositol is a great way to kind of wean them off to help reduce the cravings, but also have a corrective effect.
Gee, so is that
Yeah.
that? Okay.
There many brands. It's pretty standard. It's like a single ingredient. It's probably in my top one or two supplements that I recommend, because I have such a strong focus on blood sugar regulation.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I'm so happy because that's something that a lot of people need to know. Sugar is like the death of us right now. It's everywhere. It's in everyone's face, and you can't get away from sugar. Like every
Yeah.
second, there's something sugary right in front of you, and I feel like that's a major issue that people, can't get off of, and the willpower is definitely sometimes wavering when it's, especially at Christmas time, and everyone's like, have all this sugar, and you're like, oh my god, I'm trying not to have sugar right now, and everyone's bringing it in front of your face. So that would definitely be step up to help everyone in the right direction. So
Yeah, yeah. The inositol will definitely prepare you for all the temptation that's coming in.
I love it. I'm going to be picking that up today. I really will. You know what? Even on the coffee bag weighing that you're talking about, like I have black coffee, but I have it with, again, I noticed you love that person too, Dave Asprey's CAMCT oil. So I put a little bit of that and blend it up and I drink it. And it curbs that craving for one, multiple coffees. I only need one of them for the day, and two, it tastes better. I've always been a black coffee drinker. I was once upon a time like a double double. I don't know what it is, like double double. Everyone knows that term, double double. Just get a double double. So there was a time where I was, but I once I kind of discovered, bulletproofing your coffee and so forth. I just don't care to put anything in the coffee. I feel like it's like a sin. I want to taste the coffee now. So
Yeah. Yeah, you become a connoisseur, so you have to enjoy it.
yeah, I absolutely love it. So my last question for you before I, let you go because I know you have a busy day. Tell me what is, a major thing that you want to talk about for your clinic and how you can help people in your clinic.
So when we opened, my wife and I, we've been in practice in the area for a long time, and we always pictured like natural healthcare as like a team approach, because a lot of our patients, they require multiple different practitioners or experts in different areas, and I never wanted to be like, well, I'll fix that and I'll fix that and I'll fix. I'm like, listen, I'm very good in this area, but I know an amazing practitioner for those areas, whether it's chiropractic or massage or acupuncture, Chinese, you name it. So we wanted to focus on a clinic that is integrated, meaning like we work as a team. Like we actually are really good at communicating with one another. When we share patients, we identify areas of concern that's like, hey, you know what? I've gotten so far with so and so, but I really like you to see my acupuncturist who's fantastic. It's like she's going to bring you to the next level. And patients really appreciate that. I think historically, clinics or practitioners have been hesitant to share patients or refer out with this concept of like, I'm going to lose them, I'm losing income. That's just the wrong premise. So really want to focus on like, we're going to do what's best for you. Like, you'll make your money, you'll keep your doors open, but you want people to be like, you know what? Felt great with you, and then you sent me to so and so, and I felt even better. So thank you, and I'm sending you my friends and my neighbors and everybody. But at the end of the day, you want people to have results, and you want to keep them progressing in the therapeutic journey.
Foundation of your clinic because that's what I find a lot of that happens a lot in the beauty industry. It's very much like mine is mine, Smeagol's kind of thing, where it should be more like I know this great person in this part of the industry. They know what they're doing in that. They really shine in that area. And then you refer because they're going to always come back. They always come back. It's that circle of life. And it's almost like that consistent referrals that they do. So that way they support every professional. Because I just find in the beauty industry, there's a lot of this, like, I can't let my patient go to another clinic. I can't let them go anywhere else. I'd rather kind of figure out how to bootleg it myself when they don't realize they're really not doing it really well. And just to hold on to that client, and it's not the best way to do it because I just feel like there's so much abundance out there. There's so much that we can make together. And I like that you have you have that clinic that has a foundation of things that you guys really shine at, but then you're not afraid to kind of, let a client go somewhere else if they need to see that professional for that other concern that you may not necessarily have that scope of care for.
Sure. Yeah. And I think people, they want to know that I'm going to send them to someone I trust and vice versa. So we develop good relationships with other clinics in the area, and even just the practitioners that all are here. We all work together, and the patient feels the benefits because sometimes when you're going to different clinics, there's like a broken telephone, you lose a piece, you don't have this report. Here, everything is kind of like cohesive. It's like everything is in one spot, and the patient feels like they're being well taken care of.
Like I said, I saw the different treatments that you have, and I'm like, that is a place that has everything that you need. It has everything that you need in that one place. If there's something that they don't, then I would be really surprised. But I've seen so many different modalities in there that literally work cohesively, but it's like the next step to the next step to the next step to the whole healing journey that I think is like perfect. A lot of places don't look at it from that perspective. They're just like, I just want to treat this. But then there's always that next layer or that next deep layer, that next layer that you need to kind of get into for a client. And it's perfect that you guys have that. So that's amazing. So, I have two questions that I always ask every single one of my guests on the show. So, my first question is, if there's one skin modality that you always have to have, what would it be?
I guess my red light.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So the red light therapy. So then I guess my next question technically is going to probably be like the same answer to it, but you never know. You never know.
Mhm.
On a regular basis, what do you do for your skin health, your mental health, your overall body health? What do you do?
See, it's going to be a different answer. Uh, Diet. You have to be disciplined. If you have stuff that's a sensitivity or a trigger, it's going to affect your mind, body, spirit, skin, digestion, immunity, all of it. So you got to have discipline with your diet.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for that one. I needed to hear that one today. I needed to hear that one
We
today.
all need
Because yeah, like it's the discipline. The discipline is something that I find it wavers. Like there's like 3, 4 days going straight hard, hardcore, and then there's like that one slip. It's like you just slip on the ice. You're like, oh my gosh, why the heck? I was so good. I was doing such a great job. I seen the differences, and all of a sudden I'm like, I see like the crash and burn happen.
always integrate a little cheat, little reward. Because if you deny, it'll rebound.
That's so true. That is true. It's like the classic thing they always say. If you don't give it to yourself a little bit, then you're gonna like completely flip and then like just hammer it all out and then you start from scratch all over again. So it is true. Just give it a little bit, it would still kind of help you out. So that's very true. Well, thank you so much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate that you came on today. Again, please let everyone know where they can find you, your links, and everything. We will have it in the description box below, but I would love for you to tell everyone where they can find you again.
Well, the clinic is Troy Health Wellness Center in Vaughan, tryhealth.ca, one word. On social media, especially Instagram, it's at Try Health Wellness, all one word, no hyphen. And yeah, we're actually releasing an app. It's actually kind of soft opening on the Trainerized platform called TriFit. And that'll be also connected to our Instagram. So Yeah, that's the way to find me. Sure.
Definitely want to add that in. I'm so excited about that. That's exciting news. I would like to give them a little heads up. So, is it going to have different things in there regarding health and fitness and wellness?
Yeah, definitely strong fitness presence, but also with integration of diet, logging, caloric intake, and it helps me kind of make sure that my patients are eating the way they should be or need to. Also, compliance with supplementation, and also like two-way communication, so they can ask me questions, and it just helps kind of reduce any obstacles that they might be when they want a clarification.
Oh my God, I love it. That's a nice one. That's a very different app. There's not that many that I've had have heard that has that kind of integration together. So I'm excited about that. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, it's been working out so far. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it was great having you on the Skin Deep podcast because, again, it's really just about going deeper into how to help people with their skin, not just the surface level, really understand different things that can help them. And this knowing the modalities, I'm so happy about that your clinic has it because I kid you not, a lot of clinics are missing it, but they're missing those other components that I know you guys specialize in really importantly. So thank you so much for being on the Skin Deep podcast, and we'll be in touch very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Skin Deep podcast. Don't forget to download your free guide to our 10 hacks to great skin. Just check the link in our bio. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Have an amazing day, everyone, and enjoy your self-care Sunday.